Shown here in Summit Edition, which is a upgrade bundle that includes that beautiful nose cap with automotive inset windshield, among a slew of other things. This is a 4,665-pound Apex 245 BHS here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. There are a lot of RVs that have a real similar floor plan to this. However, this one has one more unique quality, and that it's a 7-foot wide narrow body as opposed to an 8-foot wide standard body. So it's got an 80-inch full 60 by 80 queen in a small body camper with a carpetless main deck, big awning, outside kitchen, double bunks. It is a mean set of qualities in a smaller camper, so you can tow small without camping small. Now, the idea behind this camper is towing small without feeling small when you get there, because they're using a bigger dinette, a bigger slide, a bigger kitchen countertop, and that creates one hiccup. It creates a kind of tricky to deal with space right here if you want to try to access the camper in transit. However, it's not the worst in the world. If you are trying to get the camper packed up, if you kind of just do the one knee here, and then you kind of do a step over and step through, you can still pretty much get through the camper in its entirety with the slide closed. Is it the simplest, easiest way to do it? No, of course not, but the fact remains, you can. If you need to, you can get back here to the bunks, you can get back here to the storage, to the bathroom. And I tell you, if it were me, if it was like a, oh my gosh, bathroom emergency and I had to stop, I could deal with that little dinette and that countertop, no sweat. And as soon as you open her up, you see this camper is just loaded with clean, simple, smart execution, but it has like a real classic camper feel, but a really modern look and edge to it. And they've really managed to blend old and new together very well here. Now, one of the first things I really want to zero in on is this big convertible dinette in this slide. They made this dinette extra large so that even though it is a small camper, again, we can still have a bigger family in here and be very comfortable. You've got a huge table to wrap the whole family around. You notice that, you can get all the way around the back of this dinette. You also notice that whether it's this tabletop, the countertop, they're all a pressed membrane with a sealed edge, so there's no T-molding. But you also might notice how this table really sticks out of the slide out. It is really kind of in your face. Now, that's by intention, because not only can you sit people all the way around that slide out, but if you had a couple extra little stools, you can sit 2 more people in the front of this. But what if you don't need all that? What if you don't need that? What if you want the more open space? Or some people don't like a U-dinette because they feel like they constantly knee fight for space. Well, if we take a look down here, you see that the table isn't necessarily mounted symmetrically. Those table posts are not evenly spaced under the tabletop. That's because this is a convertible kind of flip-around table. So here's maybe a bit better look at it. You can see how those mounts are definitely not centered. They're offset on the tabletop. That's so that you can flip the table around to face whichever way you want. Now, if you have the extended part of the table facing that way, the tabletop is going to almost touch those cushions in the back. Well, that's obviously not going to do anyone good because you can't sit anybody there. So what you can do, however, is just simply pull these cushions out of the way. Now, what I'm doing here is just for quick demonstrational purposes. You see that little extra plank in the back? That actually mounts right here so that you do have solid seating under that rear bench U-dinette area. So what you can do is pull those cushions out of the way and turn this into a 2-bench dinette with more living area or more knee room in the corners for bigger folks like me, which is what this is going to look like right here. So we still have roughly the same amount of seating space. You just kind of arrange it in a little bit different fashion. And everyone's likes, wants, needs, preferences are a little bit different. Some people might say, yeah, those wraparound cushions, I can get rid of those. Some people really like them there. It just, everyone's, personal preferences vary. And that's what's neat about this camper. It lets you really kind of custom tailor the seating arrangement to your preferences, which is, I think, why it works for so many folks. Now, those cushions that we got rid of, you could store them any number of places. The fact that they put doors on the ends of these bench dinettes here in the Summit package makes getting to that storage easier, so you don't have to lift the dinette bases to get to it. And if you are planning to basically always use it in 2 dinette bench mode, the way that I have it displayed currently, well, you could just basically, here's what I recommend. Take like your hefty bag, put those cushions in it, zip tie it shut, and just leave the bag in the corner of the garage until you're done with the camper, and then hand them to somebody and say, here's some brand new cushions I never used. There you go. Or bring them with you and convert your dinette around however you want. Now, there's some neat little accent lighting that goes on inside the cabinets there in the Summit Edition. You see how those cabinet doors are glowing. There is still storage in those. But what I like is they're far enough back, they're not really in the way. Now, you see that you've got that big window right there. It's actually messing with the camera currently, letting in just a flood of light and airflow. But, of course, we can pull that down for privacy when need be. Now, as long as we're taking a look at all the handy storage space here, let's take a look at this. This could be closet, this could be pantry. It'd be more like a linen closet, obviously, since we probably wouldn't be hanging anything in here with dedicated shelves. But the fact is, if you need to fold up clothes and put some kids' clothes in here, extra linens, food space, this little area can do about anything you want. Now, what's nice is if you reach back here, you can actually feel this is pocket screwed cabinetry. It's not particle board that's been stapled together, and these are all hardwood cabinet doors. This is a quality brand, guys. Our service records with Apex's rival that of things like Winnebago here at our dealership. They are among the least likely, statistically, to come back for service work here at Haylett RV. Now, you'll see some things here like a plastic stool, and maybe we're going to say, well, don't nicer campers have porcelain stools? They can. But remember, these guys are simple where they could be and fancy where they should be. They are function over fashion. But again, I do believe that they've melded the two together very nicely in here. Like a full shower surround, as well as the skylight above, makes, you know, it's just one less thing you have to do. You don't have to take your towels to sort of wipe down those shower walls when you are done. Now back here, you've got your corner double bunks. You can lift that bottom bunk up, and there is some storage and like a little chest down there. But what I want to zero your attention in on here is the fact that each bunk has its own light. The upper bunk has a handle to make getting up there easier for the big kids. And each bunk has its own little corner stand with household outlets. So on a rainy day like today, when you're stuck in the camper, the big kids can kind of climb up here into the nest, you know, if they will, the loft, and they can kind of keep themselves occupied a little bit and keep their devices topped off. Now, both the upper and lower bunks have windows that also open for airflow, which is a nice touch. Now, I just simply don't have the lower bunk light on currently. Now, the color palette in here is really, like, ultra modern. This is very much on point with what you see in a lot of residential construction and tones currently. But they also, again, in a small camper, did an awesome job of giving you maximum potential storage space here. And that starts with these full depth overhead cabinets. Now, what I mean by that is if you take note, if you look at where the microwave is mounted, you see how it's one linear beam all the way through. It never shrinks and sinks back. They give you full-size overhead cabinet space instead of shrinking it back to make the RV appear larger inside at the cost of storage. I've said, I always say that every camper is the best for a different reason. I say that all the time if you watch my videos with regularity. And one thing I say all the time about Coachmen, if there's one thing that Coachmen does very well as a brand compared to the market as a whole, it's storage. These cats know storage, and they know it well. But before we finish the rest of it, I want to take a look at your kitchens here. So this has the backlit LED nightlight knobs. Now, if you don't dig the blue, I know some people aren't really into the whole blue thing. Leave them off. Nothing says you have to use them. It's just kind of there if you want it. The flush mount tempered glass stovetop and those pressed membrane countertops give us the ability to recess the kitchen sink. So this little camper actually has a decent chunk of prep space. Plus you have that oversized table we already looked at. And the Summit package upgrades some of our kitchen hardware, just looks super sharp and fancy. That's what's cool. This is a small camper with some fancy jazz looks, but they didn't go too nuts. It kept the pricing in check. This is neat. They went with this like charcoal covered stone cast sink. This is an American source product. If you do the wedding ring test, you can hear that's not plastic. What's cool about stone cast, it is lightweight like a plastic sink, but it is rugged like a stainless, but it can't rust like a stainless. You can put up to 500 degrees of heat on that thing before the sink has any sort of issues, which means you can literally boil water over here on the stove and pour boiling water in that sink and it won't fail, because water evaporates before 500 degrees. Now down here, they revised this last year, and I think this was a really smart decision. It used to be a straight shelf all the way across, and they opened up the left section for a small wastebasket. But note too the little toe kick. So if you really need to belly up to the kitchen counter to do some dishes, you can. Now from the counter to the floor, this Apex got some drawers. I mean, they really used every ounce of space they could, and I like how it comes out to get to you more easily. Now, you've got a little bit of storage here in the entertainment center, but note those little USB outlets next to that long shelf below the DVD player there. Perfect little phone charging station, and your TV will be standard in these, which, as we've seen, it can kind of flip and spin around. You know what? I don't know if we have seen that. No, I sometimes I record these segments out of order, and I got myself all kinds of screwed up now. What? Let's take a look at the entertainment center, shall we? So that convertible bench dinette that we've already talked about, it could be a 2-bench dinette, a U-dinette, of course, can also fold down into a big sleeping space. And one of the questions that we had from one of our owners last year was, how do I get the cushions to fold into the sleeper? And there you go. You take the back cushion and the 2 side cushions, and you put them kind of like stacked up triplicate like that. And voila, you got yourself a magic little bonus sleeper space. But what's nice is that's basically the size of those double bunks. You could easily sleep an additional adult there. So if you sometimes have adult friends with kids, or if you have a big kid or two, you can sleep there as well. Now, one other cool, neat detail thing I like to zero in on, and this just shows you, these guys are thinking. This is the difference. I mean, this is one of the best examples of the difference between a brand who just builds RVs or for a brand of RVs that are built by people who actually camp. And what I mean by this is not only does the TV spin, because that's like a dime a dozen thing. A lot of RVs have a spinning TV, but they also make their entire entertainment unit spin with the TV. So the thing that a lot of people don't think about, they go, oh, neat, the TV faces the bedroom at night. And it does, and that's cool. But how do you, change the DVD or pause it or any of that? You have to leave the bedroom, come around to the front, and use the remote on the front side. Well, no longer, because now the entire entertainment module is also facing you in the bedroom, and it's just the tiny, smarter detail features like that that really win me over in the Apex family. Okay, now that we're back on track, let's take a run forward here up to the bedroom area. Before I do, there is one thing I missed in the kitchen since I got myself all kinds of surprised. They made sure you can access every ounce of storage under that kitchen countertop with this extra little drawer space there. And I like how that power outlet is down near the countertop level. It's much more conducive to these short power cord appliances they always seem to be shipping with stuff. Now, in the past, Apexes had a short Camp Queen, whereas their, you could say, big brother, big sister, the Freedom Express, had a full 80-inch queen. A lot of these Apexes have also recently been revised and adapted into a full 80-inch queen platform, which is what this one is. So the bed might go right up to the entertainment wall, but your feet aren't really going to kick the wall because it is the longer residential length queen. Now you might note there are power outlets by the stands on each side of the bed here. They're just easy to miss. They're actually located kind of against the bed base. You see household and USB plugs also. And then little detail things like the way that they have these wardrobe closets beveled inwards. It helps reflect light from those big windows in that windshield, which is actually not really conducive to camera, but it is very conducive to camping. It reflects that light inward and it makes the whole thing look bigger. Now you do have a privacy shade for that front window, and then you've got this big ventilating extra large window over here on the door side to the camp side. So if you're laying in bed taking a nap, snoozing, or it's early morning and you hear that one of the kids screaming bloody murder outside, you can sit up in bed and you can see what's going on through that window without having to necessarily get up. You can kind of assess, do I have to parent this situation or can I let it go? Back outside, man, does this have a look. This has one heck of a look just going down the road. Just sitting here, it's small, it's simple, it's not the most expensive thing, but you sure feel proud owning it. I like that. I mean, I like campers that provide that. The Summit package with that nose cap and that extra large, newly expanded windshield compared to last year, that sure don't hurt either. And you can see these beautiful LED inlays in there as well. Now, over here we've got extra thick, heavy insulated baggage doors, and that's what's cool about these. They don't skim down on the baggage door, because if they did, you would always have a hard time like keeping the bedroom comfortable, because you'd always be losing your heating or your cooling up there. Now we've got a couple things going on. We've got the easier magnet latches and the nicer metallic slam catches, so that thing will be more one-hand operational. Down here, they are excellent about fully finishing this front pass-through storage. Doesn't have just a nice clean look to it. Now this is an all aluminum skeleton trailer, but they don't have to throw it in your face, you know. A lot of brands will leave visible aluminum skeletons down here so that you can see that without a person like me explaining what the camper is built like. Apex just figures, you know, you're an intelligent person and you'll do some research and figure it out. In the meantime, though, when you buy this thing, you get a nice look, and that is motion sense lighting here in the pass-through. So, you know, you don't have the risk of like leaving that on and eating your battery up. Now, speaking of battery, if you are a primitive or boondocking, you do have a simple side mount solar prep right there, so you can leave that thing kind of parked in the shade and keep the camper cooler. You know, then move the panel around in the sun. Now, that is an automotive windshield. That's not a front window, as it is often referred to. And again, compared to last year, they did expand that. They revised their front cap to make that even larger than it had in the past. And man, does that just have a look to it. They killed that thing right there. Power awning, power tongue jack makes camping simple and easy. But a difference here on these Apexes, and the Freedom Express sister in the Coachmen lineup does this also, is they have a tongue-mounted spare tire. That's not normal in the RV business, so why do they do that? One is load balancing. Weight in front of the axles tows better than weight behind the axles. But the other thing, guys, is it leaves the rear bumper open in case you want to add something like a bike rack. Now it's right there, open and available to do so. You know what? I'm going to put this away. The weather's kind of getting a little bit better for us. But the slide walls here. This has a seal gripping, leak preventing slide wall. If I can get this, there we go, umbrella in my back pocket. Two things. You can hear, I mean, this has a really rough textured wall, but what that's doing is it's really pulling that seal open or shut to do its job. Because if the seal gets crimped, well, then it ain't sealing. You know, you've got a gap. Heavily tinted windows, I like to point that out because not all campers have those still. And that will do a couple things for you. It increases your privacy. It reduces the total heat introduced into the camper as well. Now back here we have a simple black tank flush. All of our hookups are generally in roughly the same area here, and that is something that Coachmen as a whole is pretty darn good about. Kind of like storage, they're very good at putting their hookups in intelligent locations. Aluminum wheels, no one ever, you know, gets disappointed about that. And we are backup camera ready, but one other thing I want to point out back here is that Apex does something that, again, is very easy to miss. Is that they put better bumper end caps on here so that those caps aren't as inclined to pop off in transit and, you know, cause you to lose them. Now, one more thing, and I should have talked about this immediately, but the nose cap on this, it catches me every time, is AZDEL. This is an AZDEL skin product, or not skin, but under the skin product. And in case you're not familiar with that, instead of Luan wall panels underneath the sidewall skin, Coachmen is using AZDEL here. It is a lighter weight material that cannot rot, mold, or mildew. It has a little bit of a sound deadening quality, so if your kids are noisy inside, the neighbors will be a little happier outside and vice versa. But the idea behind it, guys, is that it's lighter weight and it is a higher longevity material, and it's something that's become a real big deal, I think, in the RV business in the last couple years. Now you pop that awning open real quick and you can see they gave you like max patio coverage here. This is a very generously sized awning. And again, every little nook and cranny of this camper continues to impress me more and more from season to season. Now they put double magnet latches on this big outside kitchen back here so that that door doesn't flop down on you if it's rainy a little bit. Now you do have that full outside utility shower back there, and that's located very intelligently right next to the outside kitchen to kind of pull double duty. You can use it to hose off the grandkids or the kids or whatever, and or the dog or yourself, I suppose. But you can also use it for a little bit of outside kitchen cleanup over here. Now this is a low profile outside kitchen, but a really effective one. You've got that you know, fridge over there for drinks, so you can keep some drinks outside, keep the food inside, and really maximize your cold storage. But if you look back in that little storage nook above the countertop, you can see power outlets back there. Also really kind of handy for keeping like a phone charger outside, not to mention just general appliances. Now the countertop out here is the same press membrane stuff that you'd see inside the RV. We have the same sort of plywood boxed full extension drawers, but instead of one of those black RVQ grills where the flame can flicker with just a slight breeze that rolls through, Coachmen uses these Coleman camp grills. It's a little more expensive, but again, remember the general message is simple where it should be, fancy where it could be, and they are function first, fashion second, but I think they really nailed both here for, you know, a good balance of function and fashion together. These things are totally free floating. If you want to move it around, you want to get it out from under the awning, you take it to the neighbors and have a big old cookout over there, nothing stops you from doing so, and it's self-storing. It just doesn't eat up any extra space. You do have outside TV hookups here under the awning, but you've also got these tilt and lock awning arms, so on a kind of drizzly, you know, gray day, like everything is just gray today. This is where this awning is going to be really nice, because you could sit out here, you could have the awning tilted a little bit to keep some rainy day runoff, and you do have the full awning lighting here. Mr. Jody, are you still inside, sir?
Sure am.
Thank you, sir. Could you kick on these speaker lights for us? I think it's the patio switch. Another neat little thing that they have right here is these cool blue LED speaker lights. Thank you, Jody. Man, I tell you what, I got to have you around all the time. You could be my assistant. You did great. Give a hand for the magnificent Jody, ladies and gentlemen. But at night, against the underside of this white awning, all of this lighting over here is going to really give you a nice brightly lit patio area. Now they strut this entry door so that it can't swing open and slam against the side of the trailer or potentially collide with that awning to give you extra protection there. And that revised front nose cap with that extra wide windshield. God bless America if that doesn't just look fantastic. So, whether it's hitching, pieces, parts, trades, finance, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between, from economy to excitement, and I'd say you get a little bit of both in this one. We do it all at Haylett RV, except for hidden dealer fees. We don't do those at all. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.